Hey guys, so people have been asking me about the house and wanting to see the house. So on this episode, we're gonna take a tour around the house when I return on the Eric McNeil Be Free Show.
Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Hey guys, so welcome back to the Eric McNeil Be Free Show, where we talk about being financially independent, responsible for self, enjoying life, and empowering others. And I'm Eric McNeil. So on this episode, let's take a walk around the house, and you can see exactly where I live in the bush. So actually behind me, you can see the house, and I'll walk around on the outside, and then maybe next episode we'll walk around on the inside to give you a tour. All right, let me see if I can change over this camera so that it will shoot in the other direction here. All right, guys, so I'm back, and this is the property. So I'm gonna do a 360 right around, and you can see the property. You can see that there's a lot of trash because they are actually in the process of putting the wall up. So this is the area that I spoke about last time, where the frogs gather when it's wet. It becomes like a little pond, and so the frogs get in there and start making a lot of noise. They're actually doing some burning today of grasses. So, and the guys are over in the container. You can see the container back there, and that's where they're actually staying at while they're working on the wall. But this is the house. And I'll just briefly walk around to talk about some of the systems in the house, or on the outside of the house. So the house is currently a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. And when I had it designed, this was actually just half of the floor, the original floor plan. And so what I told Brandon, the architect, to do is design the house so that I can build half of the house, but it doesn't look like it's unfinished, right? So if I decide not to build the other half, I didn't want to look like I was in an unfinished house. And I told him I may or may not build the other half. So this is actually half of the floor plan, and it's currently about 1,600 square feet of living space in here. And so that means if we were to, build the other half, it would be a 3,200 square foot house. But I've sold it, so the new owners said that they may go ahead and build out the other half because they have a larger family. Now, so we're in the back of the house, and you can see I have 2 poly tanks or water tanks up here, and one is higher and one is lower. And then you see the filter, the water filters at the back of the house as well. And so I don't have to buy any drinking water here, and I don't have to carry any pure water up from the city, so we can drink the water. And over here I have a digester, which in the US we kind of refer to as a septic tank. So it just takes the waste and converts it into fertilizer eventually, so you don't have to have anybody come and pump your waste out and carry it away. You see we have plenty of windows. On the outside of the house, at the windows, you can see that, you see the screens on the outside. Now what happens here, one of the things that I dislike is about Ghana is that during certain times of the year, the dust just comes inside the house, and it looks like you're living on the outside. So much dust comes in through the screens. And so I had to have some screens imported that actually stopped about 80% of the dust and pollen from coming in. But there's a trade-off in doing that, is that when you do that, you have less air flowing through the house than if you just don't do it. So it's a trade-off. But what we did is I had already put the regular screens up, and so when these screens came, I just had them to put these particular screens over the regular screens without replacing them. So, you know, if I did it again, I would just put the imported screens in, and that should help the airflow. So over here is the garden area that we created, and I guess this was about 100 by 100 square feet, so about the size of a large lot. And so basically where the house sits is perhaps halfway through the lot in one direction, then toward the back of the lot in another direction. So, and here you have the veranda as well. So this is basically it. So we are deep, deep in the bush. But every day it's becoming more like the city because a lot of the buyers are making their way to the house. So I think today we had maybe 3 or 4 people that came. So every day we get more and more traffic here. Let's see, so I'm gonna walk toward the container where the guys are, and I'll show you some stuff over there. So one of the things that we did is we put in this biodigester, and that allows you to convert the waste into fertilizer and fuel so that you can actually use that fuel. And this is where the biodigester is. Now, and you see that it has this line so that it can collect the fuel. So, however, the mistake we made here was that the biodigester is so large we don't use enough waste to actually use it. So this is probably good for maybe 10 or 20 more houses, you know, now that we go back here, because we just don't use that. We don't have a large, you know, it wasn't a lot of people here, so we don't have produce enough waste to even use it. So it currently is not even being used. And then right over here, you'll see we have the borehole, which is the well. So it goes down approximately 200, and I believe they said 225 feet. So it's just drilled right down through the mountain. So, and that's where we get our water from. So as long as the aquifer that it's going to doesn't dry up, then we'll have water. And the water does have metal in it, and that's why you have to have the filters to filter those metals out. And the water filtration system is actually another story in itself that had to be fixed and repaired. So we'll briefly walk down here. Well, I'm gonna go across their area here. Hey guys.
Yeah.
So you guys ready to be movie stars?
Yeah.
And filming? So these are some of the workers here that are working on the site. I think it's about half of them here at this point, but this is the weekend, so that they're still going at it. So, and this is the container that's also a part of the property. So the container has maybe, looks like, what, 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 solar panels up there, so 3 or 4 small ones. So it's not enough to do much with, but maybe run a radio or a PC with. So, but anyway, this is the container area, and as we go down, we're gonna go down toward the you can see they're burning over here. So they're burning some of the grasses. And this is how a lot of weeding gets done. So instead of doing weeding, they would just burn the grasses away, and it grows right back very quickly. But as we get closer to the property line, you'll see the wall coming up. And you see we have bricks, some of the blocks here, and we're getting close to the property line. So at any rate, this is the property line, and you see where we are currently now bringing up the wall. So this will be a 6-foot wall all the way across. So, and you can come to this side and you see the same wall just extends. So very huge project that goes across the entire 5 acres, and when we finish we'll put a gate up so we won't have so much traffic coming through, because right now there's a lot of traffic that comes through here and it's hard to keep up with who's coming and going. So anyway, we'll walk back up here toward the house. So you can see all the rocks on the ground. So very, very rocky place, because it's, again, it's a mountain, so got a lot of rock. So the house was designed really to be functional. I mean, I wanted a good-looking house, but more importantly, I wanted it to be functional. Like, if you notice how the roof is slanting back, that was designed based on me wanting a house that was similar to the earth bag. Not the earth bag, but the earth ship style house. I don't know if you're familiar with an earth ship, but it's a specially designed house, and this was designed after that the Earthship plan, and this is called a zero energy earth bag house. And so it goes back because I wanted to be able to do rainwater harvesting off the roof if I needed that. So, and also I wanted to have as much daylight coming into the house as possible. So toward the front of the house, you have windows that catch the daylight. So you really don't need electricity in the house during the day for lighting. So it's just extremely energy efficient. Now, I was telling you earlier about the water filtration system. So again, this is the water filtration. So this system is actually probably large enough to support another 10 houses, but we had problems early on when the guy installed it. He couldn't get it to filter properly, and so his answer was to bring another canister out, and it still wouldn't work after he brought the canister out. So then I actually went to Google and YouTube University and found out what the problem was, and it turned out to be that the water was coming too quickly from the well to the filters and didn't give the water enough time to, I guess, oxidize and turn brown. So what I did, the solution, because initially we only had the one water tank, and after I found out what the problem was, what I did is I went and purchased another water tank that was even larger and had this foundation built to put that water tank on. And so now the water comes from the well, it goes into this large water tank, and it sits and it oxidizes so that it then is gravity fed down into the ground, and it goes into those filters. So by the time it reaches those filters now, it has fully oxidized and turned, and so the filters can do what they were designed to do. And then it filters out of that, and it's gravity fed up into this smaller poly tank, right? Because water always seeks a level, so there's no pumps or anything that's moving it, but nothing but gravity. And so once it gets into this poly tank, it's actually ready to drink. It's been filtered and it's ready to drink. And this poly tank, we can get water from the back, or it can be fed into, and it's also fed into the house. Now, once it's fed into the house, there's a pump to push it into the house at this point. And you can see we have even smaller filters at the back, because sometimes there's little sediment debris that gets in it coming over. So if you want to filter it some more, but I don't need these filters. It passes the test. You know, when I have the water tested, it's fine coming out of the big water tank. So I don't really need these filters, but I still use them. And they last a long time, many months before you have to change them. So that's how. Now, if I had to do it again with the water system, instead of using like this pump, what I would do is I would go ahead and mount the poly tank, the water tank, on a tower so that it can be gravity fed. So that's probably the only change that I would make to the system if I did it again. And then that way I wouldn't need this pump right here if I was gravity, you know, feeding it, if I was just using a tower. So that's one of the things that I would change with that. And of course, like I said, that biodigester, I would probably, if I did it again, I would only do the one digester. I wouldn't do this digester and then that biodigester. But I was uncertain about the biodigester working properly, so I told them, you know, that was a test. And so I wanted a regular kind of digester that I knew would work properly. So we put this one in also just to make sure I wouldn't get caught. And I'm glad I did that. So anyway, that is a tour of the house. We're still, before we leave with the new owners, we have to put these tiles on the veranda. So you can see that has to be done. And you see they have a lot of cement and stuff on the veranda now. So it's a working area at this point. But yeah, so you get the idea. During the next episode, we'll take a tour on the inside of the house so you can see how it looks on the inside. And you see here we use the gas canisters. So I always I try and keep both of them full so that in the event that I run out, because I'm on the mountain, so you know, it's difficult to get gas canisters up and down the mountain. And so like right now, this one is probably half full, and this one, you know, it's just waiting. It's full. So in that one gas canister, maybe it'll last me 5 months, maybe. Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 months. Anyway, that is it. You see the solar system batteries out here. We got them in a cage, so it's 12 of those batteries. So, of course, during the day when the sun is out, you don't have to worry about the batteries, but at night you do. So it's really time to replace those batteries. That's another lesson I learned with solar, is that you have to be careful. You just don't use solar like you do regular electricity. There's some do's and don'ts. Like when the builders were here, the carpenter was using his power tools, and you know, I later learned after researching it that you really shouldn't be using your power tools because you run the batteries down quickly and you spoil them, and you shouldn't actually run the system like to 0 level. You know, you should actually off the system around half of the way the power you shouldn't use over half of the batteries, or else you end up spoiling the batteries much quicker. So these batteries have probably lasted us maybe 3 years, and it should have lasted 5 years. But now, you know, it's you live and learn. So, they have batteries that will last, are rated to last 15 years, but those batteries probably cost, I don't know, I forgot, 3, 4, 5 times as much as these batteries. So you'll pay for that extra lifetime. So that is it for this episode. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And also like, share, comment. You know the routine. So I'll see you on the next episode. And until then, take care.